The return up for Parlow, leaves it off, here's Mia Hamm, in the box, the shot, goal! She's got the record!
Hey everyone, my name is Sabria Whitaker and I'm the founder of Grow the Game.
Erica Pioncastelli here, Tokyo 2021 Olympian.
This is Carly Jackson, professional goaltender for the Buffalo Beauts.
Hey everyone, this is Connor Moore, the social media manager of the Chicago Sky.
For the first time in franchise history, the Chicago Sky are WNBA champions.
You are now listening to
Women's Sports Matter.
Women's Sports Matter.
Hosted by Gianna Belcastro.
Arike Ogunbowale wins the national championship for Notre Dame.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Women's Sports Matter, a podcast that is your one-stop shop for all things women's sports. My name is Gianna Castro, and I am your host. It's a wonderful morning today, probably the earliest episode I will ever record, which is okay because my sleep schedule is so bad. Please do not ask me what time I go to bed because it will be a horrendous 1 a.m., 12:30 a.m. type deal, and my family will not be happy about that. But I'm trying to work on it, okay? It's work in progress. You got to trust the process. I hate to say it as I'm wearing a Boston Celtics hat, but I will steal the Philadelphia 76ers saying. Anyway, today I've got someone joining me for an episode. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Ann Tokarski. You can find me on Twitter at Ann Tokarski. And I've been involved in the women's hockey space for maybe 3.5, 4 years now. Definitely, oh wow, I guess it is 4 years, because I got involved with the 2018 Olympics. So 4 years and a bit. But anyways, you don't need to know all that. Yeah, I just love women's hockey. I love all women's sports, and I'm really excited to be on the podcast today.
Woo! Podcast in the early morning. What's not to love? What is not to love? All right, let's just get straight into things. I want to know more specifically, like, how you got into the women's hockey space. Like, was there a specific moment, or was it just like, oh, I'm just gonna watch this sport now? Because that was me.
So I think that's relatable for a lot of people. But for me, when I was 16, it was 2018, and it was the not Beijing Olympics, the Pyeongchang Olympics in South Korea. And I just remember it was really late, and I was like looking for something to watch because I'm like only patriotic around the Olympics or like international women's hockey competitions. And I was like, okay, like I want to watch like a USA sport right now, but like there's like the only thing that's on is like women's hockey. And I was like, I didn't even know women played hockey. And I've been like a men's hockey fan for a pretty long time at that point, but I was kind of like so shocked that women played hockey. And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna watch this. And so I followed all the games of that Olympic tournament and then stayed up till like 1 a.m. watching a gold medal game. And it was like on a school night. And I just like remember being like I wanted to talk to people about it because I was so excited, but naturally it was 1 a.m. And so I just remember going to school the next day and being like, hey, everyone, did you know that women played hockey? Like, did you know that like they just won the gold medal at the Olympics, like their first in 20 years? And people were like, yeah, like, okay. And I was like, okay, like your enthusiasm is not what I'm looking for. So I kind of already been on like men's hockey Twitter. So I kind of just like started looking for like, I guess, women's hockey Twitter. And that kind of got me involved. And then I started writing for the Ice Garden. And then I started writing for the Nide newsletter. And now I'm here.
Now you're here. There we go. I started watching hockey, women's hockey specifically. I never got into men's hockey. I think like there was so much hype around the Blackhawks. My mom actually worked downtown for a bit, so she witnessed a few of these parades, and she was like, "Oh, there's people climbing the light poles and whatever, and it's so bad for business." And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "Damn, they win all this stuff, and then people really go nuts. And then where's that excitement for like women's sports in general?" One of my coworkers actually was talking to me about the Chicago Sky the championship parade and how the crowd like dwindled down. It started out really big. Well, that's what I've heard, but I don't have championship parades at Wednesdays at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my thing, because I really wanted to go to that. But going back to women's hockey, I started watching the PHF, what is it, 2 years ago, to like create coverage on here, because I was like, I can't just do basketball and soccer, even though that's the old logo. It is the old logo. Hint, there's gonna be a new one. Keep an eye out for that. But I wanted to expand my coverage on here. So I was like, I'm gonna watch a sport that I don't like. And then I fell in love with the PHF. And I'm like, what's up with that? So yeah, I feel you also on the like trying to talk to people about it. Again, started the podcast to talk to people about women's sports, because no one in my family still wants to talk with me about women's sports because they're being haters. They just listen to me here and then they're like, oh, we're not going to talk to you about it. Okay, fine. Have it your way. You can talk about the Bears all you want.
Who even wants to talk about the Bears? Aren't they like really bad?
I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. All I know is Justin Fields, and that's it.
Yeah, I actually went to school with Justin Fields for a year at Ohio State, but it's not like we knew each other, so like I don't know why I said that.
I'm gonna boo the Ohio State. Boo. I'm also gonna boo Illinois. Boo.
Okay, well maybe I should just drop out of school to like make you happy.
You can go to Nebraska with me.
That's so far away.
It is so far away. It is very far away. I did not have many options. I would like to point out, because I didn't give myself enough options, but I really like the program. So we can be quote unquote rivals, even though I heard Illinois and Nebraska has no rivalry. We're gonna make one right now. So
yes, okay.
There we go. Okay. There we have it.
Yeah. I'm anti-Nebraska right now.
And I've always been anti-Illinois. Here's a question for you that I've brought up on a few episodes. Does Central Illinois exist? Central and Southern Illinois, does it exist in your mind?
Yeah, because the University of Illinois is in East Central Illinois.
No, it doesn't exist.
Then what would you categorize Champaign as?
I've never heard of the town.
So, well, do you know where Danville is?
But it doesn't. It's not real. It's made up.
Oh, okay.
It's made up.
I mean, yeah, it's like kind of a liminal space when you're there. So like, I get that.
I have beef with Central and Southern Illinois.
I thought you said they didn't exist.
Mostly Okay. Whose show is this?
Okay, sorry.
For people that are watching or aren't watching, this is my morning, like my show. It doesn't exist. But I would like to ask you, since you do go to school in Central Illinois, are there a lot of like redneck type people down there? Because I've never been to Champaign, and I assume that this is what it's like. Also, because I'm driving home from Missouri, I was in Springfield at a Portillo's, and I saw a Confederate flag on a dude's truck, and I was like, okay, we're gonna leave now. So I just want to know about that real quick.
Well, Champaign is like it's not urban like Chicago, but like it is a college campus, and I think college campuses tend to be more liberal. And like, yeah, there are like a bunch of like conservative students. Like there was one time when I was walking through the quad and there were like very graphic anti-abortion posters, and I was like, oh, like I like, okay.
Was it like older people?
Yeah.
Oh, it's those folks.
There's like, it's like there are townies, and they kind of like come to campus sometimes to like preach.
Oh, I love that.
I
can't wait for that. I can't wait for that to be like, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
You're the one.
I just like kind of just like keep my head down, like mind my own business. But I
feel like what I would want to do is like interact with them, but like as a joke type thing where it's like, oh, tell me more.
And just like waste
Keep
their time.
explaining. You see that? Do you watch Stranger Things?
I watched the first season and then I kind of forgot to watch the rest.
Okay, well, there's this scene in the newer episode. It's like, I guess Netflix is like, they put it like a TikTok of it out there. There's this one scene where one of the characters is asking these people to join a school club. And so since you watched the first season, I don't think you would know who this character is. But it's Sadie Sink's character. And so she's like a really sarcastic type person. And Dustin asks Sadie Sink's character, Max, if she wants to join this club. And she's like starting off like all real interested, but it's like sarcasm. And so that's what I feel like I would do to these amazing people that are wasting their time on a school campus, thinking they can change people's minds while holding up some random photo of a clump of cells. Oh, I said it, everyone. There you go. I'm gonna drink some water now. I love that for us here. Let's talk about this amazing tournament happening in Madison, Wisconsin that will be over by the time this show comes out tomorrow. But for those that have no idea what I'm talking about, would you like to explain what's happening?
Yeah, of course. So it is the IIHF U18 Women's World Championship, which is basically where there are 8 teams from a variety of countries across the world. The US and Canada are obviously participating, and both are actually going to be playing in the gold medal game today at LeBron Arena, home of the Wisconsin Badgers. But basically the tournament just features hockey's best and brightest players that are under 18. So you have players who are committed to college but haven't played collegiately yet, because I think most college students like attend after their 18th birthday. I don't know. I was 17, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, yeah, it's just going to be really exciting, I think, to get my first like real in-person international tournament. And because I've only ever been to like a couple, I've only ever been to collegiate games actually. So going to see my first international tournament is going to be really cool, I think.
Hockey is fun from what I've learned. I mean, for people that aren't aware, which I've talked about on here a few times, but Chicago Wolves are in the playoffs. And if they would like to win their game tomorrow, which is, I guess, technically today, if you're listening when this episode comes out, they're going to the AHL championship, but they got to beat Stockton. They got to beat the Heat.
That's a good saying.
Yeah. I mean, what team is that? The Celtics. And so now the Wolves are stealing that. Whatever, I'll allow with both of my teams, I guess. But hockey is fun from what I've learned. Is there any moments from the years that you've been watching that have stood out and you're like, oh, this was such a great play? Like people should go and watch this right now.
I don't know about plays in particular, but the moment that really stuck out to me, and you're going to hate this, but Ohio State won the national championship in March, and I was actually able to be there thanks to the generosity of so many people who contributed to my GoFundMe. And like as a former Ohio State student, and like I have friends on the team, like just getting to see that and see like all of their hard work come to fruition. And like I have this video of them like as the clock winds down and like you see them like jumping over the boards and like going to mob their goaltender. It's just like in that moment, like watching that pure joy, I was like, okay, like people have to like be into this. Like, I don't know how you could like witness that and like just be like, I don't care. Like the emotion in the arena was like, it was so ridiculous. Like it was so good and the vibes were so good. And I was just like straight up, I think I cried, but like, that's neither here nor there.
I mean, boo Ohio State, but good for their hockey team. I'll say like big thumbs up to them. Congrats on that. Who did they play in that game? Was it like a Minnesota team or something?
It was Minnesota Duluth, yeah.
Minnesota Duluth. Is that D1? Is that was D1?
Yeah.
I always assumed it was D2. I guess that's on me. Oh well, because I knew about the other like schools within the University of Minnesota programs and whatnot, but I don't know usually where all these different things are at. Like I was so shocked when I found out that University of Illinois Chicago is D1 a few years ago. I was like, what the hell? I just think it's like the smaller schools type thing. I don't know. That's on me. That really is on me. I know my stuff now. So doing the research.
If it makes you feel better, I didn't know it was D1 until like 3 seconds ago. So
also, like Chicago State didn't find out that was a school until like, well, my friend runs this account called Did Chicago Win? And so the Chicago State, I've never heard of it until like last year. And I was like, there's a school in my state that is called Chicago State and they're D1. Since when?
Yeah.
Love learning things every day. The more you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I keep saying that my slogan of the year or of the season should be the more you know, and insert the GIF here type thing. Cause I just keep saying that the more knowledge you get is the more you know. Love that for this show. And I love that at 9:30 in the morning. Really, really gets you going. You know, the first thing you think about is a new fact in the morning. And it's like, oh, the more you know. And it's like the 80s GIF of the more you know from NBC. But I've mentioned that every single episode this season. I'm pretty sure. So
as you should.
If you're tired of that, who cares? My show. There you go.
Yeah, you do you.
So this year I had the opportunity to vote for end of season awards in the PHF, which was like, oh my God. And you also got to do that too. So
I did.
For people that don't know what that's about and what that process is like, can you explain that? And then can you explain your votes? I cannot recall off the top of my head who I voted for. I do have the email of my, the receipt of my votes, but I'm pretty sure no one wants to hear about that. So you go ahead and tell everyone what that was about, the process for that, and why you voted for certain folks.
Oh, yeah. So my friend and former colleague, Mike Murphy, actually helped out the PHF with coordinating that. And it was basically just each team in the league nominated a player for each award. So I think it was the coaches nominated a player from their team. So like the Toronto Six's best defender, like Mark Joslin nominated Lindsay Eastwood. And then when we voted, we were given all the candidates as selected by the coaches, and we had to rank them in like our top 3. So I don't know. My votes are in retrospect kind of bad, but
Same.
It is what it is.
I looked at I was following the awards on Twitter, and I looked and I was like, okay, the person I voted for did not win. I probably should have voted for that person. That vote was a little questionable, but it's whatever. It's okay. Hopefully more opportunities in the future where I can take a little bit more time to vote. But it was really nice to be included in that.
Yeah.
So that was a first for me. Hopefully here's to more.
Yes, I will always advocate for you to have a vote in the future.
Gotta love the PHF and voting for end of season awards. That was I mean, I literally asked, I was like, hey, can I cover it sometimes, can I vote? And he was like,
as
sure.
You should.
He was like, sure. And I was like, okay. And then I got the email and I was like, oh, I didn't know this was gonna actually happen. And so I told my family. It didn't seem like they were excited, but I was excited. So
that's all that matters.
I was pretty pumped. And let's turn to the TV deal that the PHF has. And also I watched one of the World Championship games while I was at work, of course, because baseball gets boring sometimes. And that was on ESPN Plus. Do you think women's hockey is going to stay on ESPN Plus, or do you think it's going to get moved on to regular television anytime soon?
I would say in the near future, I think it might stay on a platform like ESPN Plus, just because when you look at a league like the WNBA or a league like the NWSL, like it took them a really long time to get like their cable TV deals. So I think like right now, especially while like there are the two leagues, like I think it might be a little like I think people don't want to step up, like people in the TV industry don't want to like do the wrong thing, quote unquote. But like, I don't know. I think women's hockey is like some that you have to take a risk on sometimes. So like, like I would love to see it on like CBS or like, I guess like Paramount or whatever, or even like ABC or like, I know NBC doesn't exist anymore, but NBC Sports doesn't exist anymore. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd love to see it on like TNT. Like, I think that'd be cool.
Primetime PHF coverage.
Yeah,
TNT.
it even sounds good.
There we go. That's a name for it too. And you got to credit us, PHF. You got to credit us.
Yes.
Don't take our ideas. Just saying. I was telling my mom, I was like, so if you're not going to buy the package deal of Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN, I'm going to have to buy it myself because I want to start covering women's hockey more. And I can't do that unless I have however many dollars ESPN Plus costs. So that will be an expense that I will pay for so I can cover women's hockey. I was a little upset last year when they announced that because I was like, oh, another streaming service that I have to buy. But at least there's somewhere where you can watch them. And I feel like that is a point that people forget about. I still like women's hockey. Well, I guess I do. Someone asked me if I was like a fan of hockey. And I was like, well, I just work in hockey. And I feel like as I've gotten to see more games, went to my first hockey game last year because I get tickets from the Wolves. So it was like, oh, I guess I can see why people like this. I do have beef with the Blackhawks, though. I don't have beef. Well, I have beef with all the men's hockey teams in Northern Illinois. So there's that.
Yeah, me too, actually.
And it's funny because my family would be like, Gianna, why don't you like the Blackhawks? And it's like, have you seen the news? Do you read things online? And it's like, I don't have to explain it to you. You should be pissed off about this. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the men's hockey world and also the women's where so many like quote unquote controversies and bad things that have happened. So how do people see all this and be like, okay, how can I still watch the sport? How can I still support these people? Obviously there's not bad things going on everywhere, but what should people keep in mind when you see all this bad stuff going on in hockey?
For me personally, I mean, I'm not a huge men's hockey fan anymore. So like, and also I like don't really have an answer to the question as it pertains to men's hockey. But I think when you think about the controversy in women's hockey, like the main controversy is the PWHPA versus the PHF. And like, I don't even know if I would call that like a controversy, but like, it's the thing that like everyone like talks about. So I guess my stance on it is just remember that the athletes are human. Remember that they want the best, not only for themselves, but for future generations. And just kind of like, I don't know, like I trust the players to advocate for what's best for themselves. And I'll do anything I can to help them advocate for themselves. But in the end, I think they're who we should be listening to. If a player says, oh, like, I don't want to play in the PHF or, oh, I don't want to play in the PWHPA, like, that's the best decision for them. And like, we just have to respect that, like, there's no like moral, like, oh, the PWHPA is like evil. Oh, the PHF is evil. It's just kind of like what works for everyone, someone else might not work for you, and like I feel like we just have to respect that.
How do we feel about the NHL trying to make one league? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, like, I don't know, I'm kind of disenchanted with the NHL's involvement in women's hockey. Like in the beginning it was like, oh, like this is so cool, like they might like have like the WNBA model, and then it's like they're just like not trying and they like don't care. And it's like, okay, I'm just so done with them trying to like, you know,
be involved. Yeah, it's kind of like,
yeah,
you tried. It's like
yeah,
MLS teams with NWSL teams from what I've seen. It's so with like Sporting Kansas City, they were like so awful to the former, what was it, Kansas City, was it Kansas City FC, the former NWSL team before it shut down. I don't know how many years ago. I just became a soccer fan like a few years ago. So I'm still trying to learn about all the older teams that have come and gone. Those rest in peace, to Utah Royals FC and Boston Breakers and all of that. Oh my God. But Sporting Kansas City treated the NWSL team in Kansas City like poorly. And I think they were like, they wouldn't let the Current play at their stadium or something last year. So they had to play, I forgot where they played. I think it was a baseball park. So there's that. And there's like other stuff going on with like other NWSL teams and MLS teams. Some of them have great partnerships, I guess, where the Chicago Red Stars and the Fire are going to do a double header. Now, they're not involved business-wise in terms of ownership, but it's nice to see that, we can do double headers and it can be a fun time, or hopefully it will be. I have beef with Arnhem, so he doesn't. This is the only Red Stars match I'm going to go to and maybe pay for and be like, hey, I'm going to go enjoy this game in Chicago. For real Chicago, not the Bridgeview Red Stars, because that's what I feel like their name should be. But men's sports teams or men's sports leagues trying to get involved in women's sports leagues doesn't always end up well. And every time I see that kind of involvement, it's like, maybe let's not do that. Maybe let's just have them be on their own here. I want to ask you also with I guess here's another PHF controversy, which is something that I kind of am trying to learn a little bit about, is the team ownership aspect of PHF. The PHF teams, aren't like 3 of them owned by the same person or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
And it's like this one Russian dude or something. Is that correct?
I don't think he's Russian, but he is involved. He's the chairperson of a Russian tech corporation, I think.
His last name looks some European thing. I can't quite. And maybe I'm thinking about someone else, or maybe it's just the Russia part.
Yeah, John Boynton.
Yeah, that dude. That's what I'm trying to talk about. There we go. Yeah, that man. I'm still trying to wake up, so I apologize. For everyone listening, I apologize. But for long story short, for people that don't know about what's going on, can you just explain that a little bit? And this will also be a little refresher for me as well. What the hell is going on with this dude?
Yeah. So are you talking about John Boynton specifically, or are you talking about the owner?
We'll go with John.
Okay. So I honestly will admit to not being I don't really know, because I'm not like super well educated on this topic, but I know Alex Azzi of On Her Turf, which is a subsect of NBC Sports that covers women's sports. She wrote a really great couple of articles on him and his involvement. So for anyone listening, I would definitely check her out. I actually interviewed her a couple months or so ago for the 9. But yeah, honestly, I'm not as caught up on this as I should be, but I think it's definitely something that the PHF kind of, needs to acknowledge and needs to look into.
I'll link those articles because I'm retweeting all that stuff all the time, because she writes some great stuff for On Her Turf. So it's a great follow as well if you're looking to follow more people that are doing stuff in women's sports. There you go. So there's that. And now, I guess here's a great time to talk with everyone's favorite women's sports betting analyst, Derek. Take it away, Derek. Let's learn about women's sports betting and what's going on this week in that world.
Thanks for listening to the Women's Sports Matter podcast. I'm Derek Helling, Gianna's dad. As the event schedule is kind of light this week, I want to take the opportunity to talk a bit more about promotions that sportsbooks offer in the context of responsible gambling. You might have seen ads touting risk-free bets of hundreds or even thousands of dollars if you register an account with a sportsbook and make a deposit. These are not scams, but it is important to distinguish real money from account credit. If you take a sportsbook up on one of these offers, know that if you lose your bet, the sportsbook isn't going to immediately replace the cash you handed over. Rather, the sportsbook will give you the advertised amount in site credit. This is not real money. In order to convert it to actual cash, you could withdraw if you wanted. You would have to successfully wager that value. It never hurts to play with house money, but don't take these ads to suggest that you can't lose any cash in the deal. As with any time you bet on sports, you should actually expect to lose. That way you can only be pleasantly surprised if you do win. So getting into what's available to wager on this week. The Meyer LPGA Classic starts on Thursday, June 16th from Belmont, Michigan. Winners futures should be available at legal Canadian and U.S. sportsbooks soon. The NWSL has matches on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this week, while the WNBA offers games every day except for Saturday and Monday. Check your favorite sports betting app the mornings of those contests for lines. As a reminder, previews for all these events and a lot more information is available at BetHer.com. That's BET-HER.com.
Thank you again, Derek, for informing us about what's going on this week in the world of women's sports betting. Really appreciate you taking the time to do all these segments. And again, please, if you want to get into sports betting, you don't have to. I'm just saying if you do want to, make sure to listen to what Derek's saying every week. Very informative tips. So there you go. And make sure to follow BetHer on Twitter. Everything is linked down below, the website, social media, all of that. Now, let's move into something new that's going on this month for Women's Sports Matter. Each episode that I have the guest on, they will be making a choice of what LGBTQ plus charity I will be donating to for Pride Month. So, what did you pick today?
Yeah, so I picked Brave Space Alliance. It is the first Black-led and trans-led LGBTQ plus center. It's in Chicago. They're based in Chicago, and their mission is really just to create and provide affirming, culturally competent resources, programming, and services for LGBTQ plus individuals in Chicago. So it's local to me, and it's a mission I believe in.
Gotta love the local angles to the show. Sometimes I try and incorporate like Chicago stuff. It's not that local for me. It's local for my family. They decided to raise me in the burbs for some reason. They're like, oh, we don't want to live in Chicago anymore. Let's go to Naperville, Illinois. So
that's what my parents did too.
Living the dream in Naperville. Everybody's favorite town in Illinois. I feel like I saw it was the most overrated town, and I'm like, you're correct on that end. It is, yeah. Well, there's other towns, but for the one that I can think of right now, I want to say Naperville is the most overrated. It is not my hometown, though. I'm from Bolingbrook, so I moved 10 minutes away from my house to go to freaking Neuqua Valley High School.
Interesting.
Love that for me specifically. So Naperville is overrated. The only thing that I like about Naperville is the River Walk, and that is overrated as well. So there's that. I mean, there's Have you ever been to downtown Naperville?
So in the summer of 2020, I went, there were like a lot, like, you know how I think like someone like saw like a Black Lives Matter sign in like a window or something and like bashed in the window. So like a bunch of like students and stuff like organized to like spread love around the community. So I made like a bunch of signs and like drove to Naperville and gave them to someone to hang up for me.
Yeah, I did see that. That was talk of the town for a while. There was like I remember seeing like a bunch of people I knew going to like the protest in downtown Naperville and and then the mayor came out and he was not helpful at all. He made things worse, trying to be like, oh yeah, we support you, but also at the same time we don't. So
Yeah.
that's fun. Thank you, Steve, for doing that. You were no help at all, and he's up for election in a few years. So we're going to say goodbye to him, hopefully. But downtown Naperville, I think the only thing I like about downtown Naperville is the food. There's some great restaurants and great ice cream shops. There's also a Ben and Jerry's shop that I haven't been to yet, which is like, I like Ben and Jerry's because of the what kind of Dairy and I are beefing. So that's what I say. Love the lactose intolerant stuff that's out there. So there's some options from them that I really like. Do you want to do a lightning round before we end today? Okay, first question is favorite ice cream flavor. We'll do that.
Okay, I'm really basic and I like strawberry.
That is really basic.
I know.
So I'll confirm that for you. That is really basic. When it comes to women's hockey, are the things that people wear, are they called jerseys or sweaters?
Jerseys. I'm American, they're jerseys.
Okay. I was fighting with someone about this and I was like, well, I actually don't know because I wouldn't consider myself a hockey fan. And I said this like last winter. I was like, I don't really know. They're called both, I guess. Is that more of like
sweater is like more of a Canadian thing?
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I'm gonna look into that. I will look into that. Be like, hey, to all the Canadians out there that follow Women's Sports Matter, what is this thing called? They're gonna be like, a sweater. No, it's not.
Mm-mm.
So many PHF teams. If you can add another one. I shouldn't say there's many. There's not. There's what, like 7?
There's 6.
Well, Montreal.
Allegedly 8, maybe.
Allegedly, but the other one doesn't exist. So it's just 7.
Yeah.
If you could create the logo and everything, which I've seen that you've done some stuff. We're trying to figure out what the team is going to be and all that. You can make like a team name and logo. What would it be for the PHF? Where would it be located? Tell me more about that.
This is kind of funny because I actually had this whole like brand identity concept for a team in Providence.
Yeah, I saw that. That's why I'm asking you.
I think like part of me is like, oh, like I would do it for Chicago, but like no, like I'm so attached to this Providence idea, but I'm keeping it a secret because I don't want anyone to steal it.
Okay.
Without giving me credit. But it is Carly Jackson approved. So
there we go. That's the only approval you need.
Yeah, honestly.
There we go. Who are you beefing with? I'll tell you my answer too, because I'll go public with this, but who are you currently beefing with? It could be literally anything.
Right now I'm beefing with Connor McDavid. Because of anyone who's on hockey Twitter knows the videos that came out last night, and I'm beefing with him if he is a cheater.
There we go. I also saw those videos and it's like, I don't know anything about men's hockey really. So I saw that and I was like, oh, I've heard bad things about Connor McDavid. So it's just like, I don't get involved in men's hockey Twitter. I'll stay in women's hockey Twitter for now. Mm-hmm. And if I ever see fit just to be like, yo, the Blackhawks suck, I'll do that one day.
Yeah.
But I'm beefing with Derry. We'll go with that one.
Okay.
And I'm beefing with JWS. I'll go public with that. I'm not saying the full thing. But I am beefing with JWS. So there you go, because they're questionable. Very questionable to say the least. And here's my other thing. Then I'll be the only one mad about this. Their social media bios are different on each platform. And it's like, why would you do that? They have all these different taglines. It's like, what? So that's why I'm beefing, because they can't stick to one social media bio and other things. Do you own hockey jerseys?
I do. I own several, actually.
Okay, so what was your first women's hockey jersey, if you have one?
Yeah, so it was a Buffalo Buttes Shannon Zabados jersey. Obviously, she no longer plays for them. She only played one season with them. But then again, all my women's hockey jerseys are cursed anyways. So I have 2 PHF jerseys, and both of the players did not sign with their team again after 1 year.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I've been trying to get one. They're also like so expensive. Yeah. So I might just get a jersey, but I've been trying to figure out like which player to get and like what team to get, because it's like, oh, I don't want to be like, oh well, now Gianna's like a Riveters fan. No, I don't have alliances really. All like a few players, and that's gonna be it. I don't have. Well, I was a Six fan, because they were the first professional sports team to follow Women's Sports Matter on Twitter. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I got a pro sports team. And then I was like, well, Minnesota is the closest to me. I was like, well, I don't know. So I'm like, I don't know who to root for, but I'll root for certain players. Do you have any suggestions for player merch that I should get?
My suggestion is really obvious, so I'm not even gonna say it.
Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna get one when she signs. So
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Honestly, I'll tell you right now. I was gonna get this player's jersey, and then I was like, it's so expensive. I'm gonna buy an NWSL jersey. The price is outrageous, and then the shipping price too. Like, what's up with that? It is obvious. I know exactly what you're talking about. People will not know, and that is on them. That is on them. But I know exactly what you're talking about. So there's that. Let's see. We'll go final question. What is your song of the summer?
Oh, that's such a good question. Actually, I know the answer. It's the song Pursuit of Happiness, but I can't remember who's by. I don't know. That's hang on, I'll look it up.
My sister loves this song, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And she plays it so much, and it's like, Bella, please stop playing the same 5 songs over and over again. I am getting tired of it.
It's by Kid Cudi.
Yeah. It's
such a good song. Like, I don't know, just like when I would go out this past year at school, the places I went, like they played like a remix of it. Oh my gosh, it was like the amount of serotonin that like coursed through my body when like I hear that remix is just like ridiculous. So I don't know, I really love that song.
There we go. I feel like what I'm gonna do this whole season, well, at least for the summertime part of it, when I ask people their songs of the summer. That's what I did. Oh, I missed last week, but 2 weeks ago I did that. So it'll be interesting to see what people's music tastes are. So there's that. This is the end of the show. This is the time where you get to shout out people. Anyone you want to shout out right now. Boom. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, my voice like cracked. I don't know. I have so many people I'd love to shout out, but I am just going to go with 3 very lovely people, some of my best friends. Nathan Strauss, you can find him at Nathan P. Strauss on Twitter. Juliana Nikach, she currently works for the Philadelphia Phillies, and she's one of my best friends. You can find her at Juliana Nikach on Twitter. And then, this is embarrassing, but I am unashamed. My very best friend, Carly Jackson. You can find her at Tough Mustard, TUFF Mustard on Twitter.
And Carly was on the show last season, and she's a part of the podcast intro too.
Yeah, so like it's perfect.
Friend of the pod.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say. Friend of the pod. And now also is the time to inform the folks that are listening where to find you on social, just a little bit more about what you're doing right now, all that jazz. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Ann Tokarski. No spaces, no underscores, anything, just Ann Tokarski. And then you can find my work. So I write for the 9 newsletter. You can subscribe at theixsports.com. It's a 6 days a week newsletter, with each day focusing on a different women's sport. And I have Hockey Fridays.
Ooh, Hockey Fridays.
Yeah.
Oh, that will all be linked down below. Okay, now it's time for my spiel. That's what I call it. It's a lot. I had to change it recently, actually, because I had to change. Well, I didn't have to change. I changed my social media handle and got a new one I created a new account on TikTok. Freaking hate TikTok. I'm not running the TikTok though. It is not on me at all because I don't know how to. My sister knows how to do the dances. I don't care for that. I'm just there for women's sports highlights and funny content, which I don't know how to make any of that. I'm still trying to see if people want to see some women's sports comedy from yours truly, which will never ever happen. But all right, here's the spiel now. If you want to follow me on social media, guess what? You can. I'm on 4 different platforms. On Twitter, it's W Sports Matter. And on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, it is Women's Sports Matter. One thing I'm really focusing on this season is going to support your local women's sports team. That can be by going to NWSL games, WNBA games, going to WFA games if you're lucky enough to have women's tackle football in your area. Or it could be going to smaller soccer, like amateur soccer games like UWS or W League. So much fun, exciting stuff you can do. Let me know if you're going out to a local women's sporting event by using the hashtag Women's Sports Matter, and you could be featured on the Women's Sports Matter Twitter page. There's also a YouTube channel. Do you want to see all my interviews? Like the people that I'm actually talking to? Do you want to see that? You can do that. I didn't know if you knew that. You can subscribe to Women's Sports Matter on YouTube. But just hit the subscribe button. It's really easy, I promise. And then you can see that. And there is more content coming soon that is not just episodes. So there's that. I've run out of things to say. All the stuff, all the links that Anne talked about will be linked down below, as well as this week's charity. And of course, just a reminder, $15 going to guest charities. That's what's going on this month for Pride Month. That's all I got to say. Go support your local women's sports team. Go follow Anne. And subscribe to Women's Sports Matter wherever you get your podcasts. That is it for this week. I'm going to go watch some TV. No, I'm going to go play FIFA, actually, because I have beef with Chelsea and what's going on in my team right now. So I'm going to go do that. But thank you again for listening to another episode of Women's Sports Matter. I really appreciate it. Go subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to go now. I'll see you next week. That's all, folks. See you later. Bye-bye.